Hi there, thanks for joining me again. In this video, I want to discuss who is and who is not eligible for a post-grad work permit. So a post-grad work permit is reserved for individuals who've studied in Canada and are now eligible to work because they have finished their studies. So you have to study in Canada, finish your studies, and then apply for an open work permit, which is called a post-grad work permit. So in order to be eligible, you obviously have to be over the 18 or over. So there's an age requirement. So that's obvious. Obviously, if you're younger than 18, usually you're not going to be attending college or university. The post-grad work permit is reserved for colleges and universities. So you're not able to obtain this, let's say, if you are on a study permit while you're in high school. So it has to be 18 or over, and it has to be college or university. The other requirement is that you have to continue to study full-time. So if you are studying part-time, then you're not eligible. There's some confusion here. Obviously, during your holidays, so Christmas holidays, March breaks, reading week, things like this, you can be off, and obviously you're not really studying. But during those times, it's okay. But other than that, you have to be full-time student. There is also some confusion about this because a lot of times in colleges and universities, you're able to pick your own courses and create your own schedule. So let's say, for example, you picked your schedule and you have done classes back to back. So long as it is a full-time study and you're not taking part-time studies, then that's okay. So if you've compacted your studies into 3 days instead of the full 5 days, for example, that's okay. So you got to speak to your school and ask them what is a full-time study schedule look like. And if you can compact it in a 2-day a week or 3-day a week, that's not a problem. It's just the study program itself has to be full-time. So a lot of times the schools can help you with that, and they will determine what a full-time program looks like and how many classes you have to take to qualify as a full-time student. So that's very important. The full-time study has to be 8 months or more, because even though it says 1 year, it's technically 8 months. A lot of schools are open in September and then they close in April. So obviously that's your 8-month period. That's still considered your 1 year. So, but it cannot be less than 8 months. Obviously, if it's 6 months or less program, then you don't even need a study permit. So that's important to note as well. The most confusing one to most individuals is the actual school itself. So for those students who are looking to get a study permit, and then potentially also qualifying themselves for a postgrad, you want to investigate the school before you actually register with the school. So what I mean by that is not all schools and not all programs will qualify for a postgrad. So even though you will qualify for a study permit, it might not lead to a postgrad. The best way to look at it is all public schools will qualify. So let's say, I'll just give you some examples like York University, UFT, Humber, Seneca, things like this. These are our public universities and colleges. These will qualify. The confusion comes when it becomes a private college. So the best way to understand this is if the private college is going with the same program requirements and schedule as a public school, then most likely that school will qualify. So you want to talk to the dean or talk to registrar and see who makes these programs and who governs them, and are they the same requirements as a public school. So a private post-secondary school that operates under the same rules as a public school, they will qualify. So you want to verify that. And also, another one that you want to look at is if it is a private school. So a lot of issues are usually happening with private schools. If that private school will lead to a potential degree, okay, so for example, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate degree, then most likely that will qualify. but only if you are enrolled in a study program leading to a degree that's authorized by that province. So again, it becomes a little bit confusing. How do you verify that? So have it in writing with the registrar and ask the registrar, does this potentially lead to postgrad? You'd be surprised how many students come to me and say, you know what, I spent thousands of dollars studying this particular program. I got a study permit. I spent a lot of money. I applied for my postgrad, and for whatever reason it came refused. And when I look at their refusal, it's because the school or that program that they were studying in does not qualify for the postgrad. So you don't want to waste thousands of dollars doing a program that will essentially mean nothing in the end. And there is a link to the CIC website as well that will outline which schools are eligible and which schools are not eligible. So that's another thing that you can take a look at. Now, you are not eligible for a postgraduate work permit if obviously your program is less than 8 months, if it is a private school that's not governed by the same rules as a public school, and most importantly, obviously distance learning. If you have done a program that is online, that will not allow you to apply for the postgrad work permit. And lastly, if you took a semester off. A lot of students come to me and say, you know what, I was a student, but it was very difficult. I took a couple of semesters off, and now I want to apply for a postgrad. Unfortunately, it goes back against the rules where you're supposed to be full-time. And so if you're not a full-time student and you took a semester off, that will not make you eligible for the postgrad work permit. I hope that clarifies as to who is and who is not eligible for the postgrad work permit. If you're in this particular situation and you have some questions that you need answered, give me a call. I'm here to answer all your questions and here to help. And remember, at our Cramming Associates, there's always a way.